William Natbeny from Cadwallader, Wickersham and Taft, representing Assured Guarantee and speaking on behalf of the bondholder interveners. Mr. Burgermeister, with respect to the distribution reliability programs, that program also includes completing what has been called operational flexibility projects that PREPA left uncompleted back in 2021, right?
That's correct.
And these were intended or are intended to give LUMA more flexibility in operating the grid, right?
I think the way I'm interpreting, without looking at exactly what you're reading off of there, that flexibility may have been with the provisional installations that Pedro had talked about earlier.
But the additional projects, flexibility projects, aren't strictly needed to keep the power on, right?
In that instance of when we install provisionals, yes, it is required to keep the power on.
But
something different. Ask the question again. Listen very carefully to the question. Saves time.
The programs or the projects that you are talking about are not strictly needed to keep the power on at this time, right?
I'm trying to first confirm that we're talking about the same thing here.
Well,
that's important here. So I'm not looking at what you're reading. So I'm a little bit out of context right now is the problem.
All right, tell them what you're reading, but focus on the phrase "not strictly," please. What are you addressing, sir?
Let's pull up. Okay, I'm going to move on. Now, the distribution pole and conductor repair program goes to repairing electrical pole wiring, right?
Yes, that's part of what it does. Yes.
And are you familiar with the term secondary poles?
Yes, I am.
Okay, what's a secondary pole?
A secondary pole is associated with secondary voltages versus primary voltage, which is secondary voltage is the voltages after the service drop transformer for the customer.
And is it fair to say at the time you submitted your rate application, LUMA had no formal record of the number or location of the secondary poles in the system?
There is a challenge with having actual asset identification for every single secondary pole out there, correct?
And so the answer is yes.
Yes.
Now, can we pull up Exhibit 6.09, please, page 2? Potentially 606, 607, 602. These are possibilities. Yeah. So now we're on 6.09. I asked to be pulled up. Page 2. Sorry, Mr. Hempling, just give me one moment. Okay. Do you see the distribution pole and conductor repair program brief?
Small. It's a little small right now for me to read there. That's better. Thank you.
Okay. And actually, if you could go to page 3, there's a section, impact of constrained budget. You see that?
Yes, I do.
Now, in that, you identify certain risks of using the constrained budget, including decreased reliability, elevated safety concerns, and reduced operational flexibility, right?
Yes.
But in this program brief, there's no indication that any of these risks will actually result in any impact, right?
They are, we have experienced these types of risks, yes, with this program.
But in the program brief, you are indicating these as possible things that will occur, correct?
Yes, we are talking about the future.
Okay. Yes. And again, you didn't submit with the program brief or in your testimony any study showing that any of these risks will actually result in negative outcomes, right?
No, we did not provide any study.
And you didn't provide any quantification of the percentage risk of any of these potential negative outcomes, right?
No. Very much so.
As to grid automation, the program brief indicates that adopting the constrained budget could increase the number and duration of outages, right?
I don't have it in front of me, but it's likely that's what it says, yes.
Right. I mean, you haven't, again, taken the position that such events will actually occur, right?
You're correct, yeah.
And again, you haven't submitted any studies or quantification of the risk that any such events will occur, right?
No, we have not.
Let's talk about distribution line rebuild. To the best of your recollection, did the program brief indicate that includes replacement of distribution line transformers that may fail during storm damage?
Yes, would be associated with storm damage or through regular course.
And that program also includes, well, strike that. So with respect to the replacement of distribution line transformers that may fail, these would be transformers that are currently working, right?
Correct.
And the program also includes completing construction on feeders that were partially constructed, right?
That I'm not recalling. It seems unclear on partially constructed.
Okay, let's pull up.
Is that what you're doing?
That's fine. Is
Saves time.
that all right with you?
Yes.
Okay. So these feeders are not currently providing power, right?
They would be providing power to the customers that are associated. We don't have any feeders that are in a partial set of construction that are not serving customers. We only have feeders that the problematic ones there are tied across to other feeder supplies. And that's one of our biggest issues in the system right now.
Well, taking my representation that the program brief indicates that there's a need to complete construction on feeders that were partially constructed. If they're partially constructed, the system's been operating without them, right?
So they're likely serving customers. What's probably missing in that reference is things like ties across to other feeders. If there's customers associated with that feeder, they're being served right now.
Okay. Now let's talk about meter infrastructure for a little bit. Is it fair to say that even under the constrained budget, LUMA has determined that customer connections with net metering requests would continue?
That's correct. We kept that at 100%.
Right. And even under the constrained budget for meter infrastructure, new connections would continue, correct?
That's correct.
And even under the constrained budget, maintenance of the existing remote legacy system would continue, right?
That's correct.
What is the remote legacy system? Can you help me understand that term?
As we talked about earlier, that is the system that has not been replaced by AMI as of this point.
And even under the constrained budget with respect to the meter infrastructure program, you would agree that the replacement of customer objection meters would continue, correct?
Correct.
Now, is it fair to say with respect to new business connections that LUMA is considering a new service fee for this program?
Can you repeat the question, please?
With respect to new business connections, is it fair to say that LUMA is considering a new service fee for this program?
That is my understanding. I'm not the best witness actually to address that.
Who is?
Sure Pedro is able to, or
Well, let me just see if you can just see what you know to the extent that I can. To your knowledge, there's been no new service fee implemented for new business connections yet, correct?
that's my understanding. Yes.
Okay, and do you have an understanding as to when there's going to be a consideration of this fee?
No, I do not.
Okay, taking my representation that the timeline in the program says second half of fiscal year 2026, do you know why it's taken so long to consider a service fee?
No, I do not.
Not adopting his phrase so long, you just don't know.
Correct.
Okay, next. We're saving Ms. Mercado objection. Did you have, go ahead, sir, continue.
Thank you. That's all I have.
That was very efficient. Mr. Brady. See, Mr. Burgermeister, Mr. Melendez, usually a cross-examiner, if they're prepared, they'll answer yes or no questions. That's what you do. And then your counsel, if she or he thinks there's a need to elaborate, she'll get the elaboration from you. And that was very well done. Mr. Brady.
Is there any redirect?
Sorry, did I say something wrong, Ms. Mercado?
No, I just have a few redirect questions to Mr. Burgermeister.
Want to get it over with now?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
do your redirect now. Thank
Yes.
you.
Directing you to Luma Exhibit 609, I think it's showing. Distribution pole and conductor repair. Let me see, sorry. Are you seeing that? And you
Yes,
were
yes.
asked about this particular section of the program brief on the impact of the constrained budget, correct?
Yes.
About decreasing of the risks identified associated with the constrained budget. Could you explain how you measure these risks and why you identify them as risks if the constrained budget is approved for this program brief?
Assumes a fact, not an evidence. He already testified that there was not a calculation or measure of the likelihood
Yeah,
of those risks.
I don't have a problem with answering the question. I'd like to hear the answer. Go ahead.
Can you repeat?
Yeah,
please?
see where we are. Go.
Okay, so the risks identified in this program brief, could you explain the process whereby Luma identified these risks to be included as the impact of the constrained budget?
Generally, we have been experiencing these risks over the history of our operations. So that's where we've been able to identify them. These aren't anticipated. Certainly, when we talk about going into the future, I can't specifically say exactly come from our experience.
1 second. You're experiencing a risk. I experience a risk when I cross the street. I think what you mean is you're experiencing events which the risks are intending to measure. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes.
Okay.
You were also asked about meter infrastructure spend in the constrained budget, and council asked you about different types of meters, including the NEME meters. Could you explain why those costs are included in the constrained budget?
Specifically the net metering one.
Net metering, yes.
So the net metering is the us interconnecting the DER or what's generally a rooftop solar customer. We are required by law to make that connection, and that's why the levels at the optimal and the constrained are both the same. We have to deliver that service.
Same questions for the new connection meters that you were also asked about it. Explain what the reasoning by keeping that spend in the constrained budget.
Again, this exact same response. We are required to provide that service. It's not optional.
And about the same question about the maintenance of the legacy meters.
Similar response again. If a meter has failed, we have a requirement to measure the consumption of the customer, what's being delivered to them, and we are required to replace that meter.
Thank you. No more questions.
Mr. Brady, do me a favor if you can. Give me about 10 minutes notice before you're going to get to the questions that involve Mr. Tim Cook, which would be questions about
New business connections?
thank you, new business connections and advanced metering. Are you able to do that without disrupting yourself?
I will try.
Okay, I mean, I've got him on notice. I just don't want him to have to bill more time than he has to, okay?
Understood.
All right, go ahead, please.
Thank you. Corey Brady, Weil, Gutschall, and Manges, representing National and questioning on behalf of the bondholder interveners. Good afternoon, Mr. Melendez.
Good afternoon.
I'd like to start by talking about the distribution grid reliability program. Are you familiar with that program?
Yes.
As part of the distribution grid reliability program, does LUMA propose to perform comprehensive rebuilds of aged infrastructure?
I'll say yes in the context of infrastructure, yes.
When you rebuild aged infrastructure, are you upgrading it by using more modern components?
That's the intent.
And like we talked about yesterday with respect to other T programs, the focus of your NFC projects are not on dealing with infrastructure that has actively failed, right?
The NFC programs themselves, the request has to do with age infrastructure, failing equipment, what we just described recently, and assets that also that are not covered under the disaster. So there could be a component of both, as an example.
Okay, I think you said failing, but not failed, past tense, right?
In the context of safety, right, which is the first bucket where we just talked earlier from NSC perspective, there are, yes, in the failing state as it being identified through assessments. And the second component I just talked about is assets that have aged that need replacement based on how it's operating, and they do not apply for FEMA.
Okay, I think you may be answering a different question than what I'm asking. I'm really just asking, under this program, the focus of the NFC projects is not on dealing with infrastructure that has actively failed past tense as of the time the project is done.
Oh, yeah, and that is in service. Is that what you're trying to ask the question?
Exactly.
Oh, yeah, man. If you say it that way, and this is service in service, yes.
Okay, thank you. Now, as my colleague was asking about, this program also includes the completion of certain projects termed operational flexibility. Is that right?
That's correct.
And these are projects that PREPA left uncompleted before LUMA took over operation of the system in 2021, right?
That's correct.
Can you tell us what an operational flexibility project is generally?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Appreciate it. Assume two feeders that could be tied together, right? And that provide that operational flexibility to transfer load between one and the other. Provide that operational flexibility.
Okay, and that would be a program that did not complete and LUMA now proposes to complete. That example.
That example, that is correct, because it supports reliability efforts that we have been discussing that are necessary for the system.
And that project would not have been completed at any time between 2021 and present.
I'm trying to understand your question. Wouldn't have been completed? What do you mean with that?
Sure. So if it was a project that PREPA left uncompleted, well, let's back up. LUMA took over in 2021, right?
Get that.
So if the project was uncompleted by PREPA as of 2021, then it hasn't been completed for at least almost 5 years as we sit here today, right?
That is correct. For 4 years, yep.
And perhaps even longer if PREPA stopped work on the project before 2021.
Objection calls for speculation.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, I just want to make sure he finished up the question. The answer is yes, could be longer. Yes, the answer is yes to that.
So if 5 or more years have already passed without these operational flexibility projects being completed, could they not be deferred to a future year?
A project was identified needed at some point. Probably lack of funds was the reason it didn't get completed. Funding has been an issue for a lot of the federal funding in the last several years. So we're seeking funding to be able to complete a project that will provide value to the customers.
Do you remember my question?
I'm just answering your question.
Well, it was a yes or no. You want me to repeat it? So if 5 or more years have already passed without these operational flexibility projects being completed, couldn't they be deferred to a future year?
Couldn't there be? You're making a statement of the factual statement that it has
Just
to be?
just yes or no.
1 second. He just wants to know whether if they've been, if you deferred it all this time, can you keep deferring it?
Well, it
No.
can be deferred. Everything can be deferred. You can make that choice. Yes, that's what you're asking. Every choice can be made to defer everything.
Right to eternity, yes?
No, for forever. Not to do anything is an option.
That's all. Next question.
The distribution grid reliability program also includes work on electrical infrastructure that was abandoned by PREPA, correct?
Yes.
What does it mean for infrastructure to be abandoned?
Can I use an example to answer your question, sir?
Absolutely.
There is a project, substation Coviaducto, in which there's a project in the building, was actually built, initiated, and it was abandoned. It was just basically abandoned. The structure itself was abandoned. There's no work hasn't been done. The project wasn't completed. So it's basically a structure that is built and is abandoned in place. It's just sitting in there.
So it's kind of like a construction site that is idle.
It's a structure that has been built that is just incomplete. It's been abandoned in place, yes.
So construction started and then stopped, and then it sat there for a long time.
Correct.
And LUMA wants to restart that construction project.
And then Luma, yes, is anticipating. I believe the reason that particular project that I just make reference was stopped is because of lack of funding. And that's what we're pursuing to be able to finalize it because it's a very important project for that particular substation.
Okay, and similar to what we were just discussing, if PREPA abandoned it, that means that it's been abandoned for at least 5 years, right?
I don't agree entirely that PREPA abandoned it. It's in an abandoned situation because of lack of funding. I cannot state why they did it. I can only state that we have infrastructure there that is useful, that should be able to be invested to finalize the project for its intended purpose to improve reliability. That's what I'm saying.
So hold on, to make this absolutely clear, because it's a little matter of interpretation of words. You're using the word abandon as an adjective applicable to the facility. He was wondering whether the word abandon was an active verb, as if somebody had done the abandoning. Isn't that what you were getting at, Mr. Brady?
Yes, thank you. In other words, if PREPA did not abandon it, then I guess LUMA abandoned it, right?
No, that's exactly what I'm answering the question I did, right? I cannot infer on what PREPA did or did not do. I can only tell you that the building example that I gave you, it has useful life. We should put in the project, and we should invest dollars in projects that, whether abandoned, we can utilize infrastructure.
Right. In other words, you walked into a situation where, for whatever past action or omission, there was a facility whose ability to carry electricity and serve a customer was incomplete.
Correct.
All right, and you're waiting to, and you want to do something about it at some point.
That is correct.
But meanwhile, it's just sitting there doing nothing for anybody.
That is correct.
All right, next question.
Mr. Hempling, the reason why we wound up with these additional questions is because I asked a timing-related question of Mr. Melendez, which is whether the project had been abandoned for at least 5 years. And his response was that was not the case. And so I'm trying to understand how it could be the case that LUMA did not abandon it, but it was abandoned after LUMA took over the system.
Okay, so here's how I understand the situation, because my only job right now is to make sure that the transcript that we're all going to rely on is absolutely clear. And so if I'm mixed up, I probably won't be the only one. For whatever reason, there's a facility sitting there that is in what we're going to call a state of abandonment, which means it's not doing anybody any good. And the state of affairs is that LUMA has known about this and has seemingly lived with it for a certain amount of time. Is that correct so far, Mr. Brady?
It is. And the certain amount of time is what I'm trying to get at.
1 second. And what do you want to ask about this fact that LUMA seems to be I'll use the word tolerating this uselessness? What do you want to find out about this?
What I'm trying to find out, Mr. Hempling, is for how long these projects have been abandoned. The point that I was trying to make was that if PREPA abandoned them, then it would necessarily be 5 years or more, given the time that LUMA took over operation of the T&D system.
Okay.
However, if Mr. Melendez is saying that LUMA abandoned the project, then yes, I take his point that it could be less than 5 years.
And
right. 1 second. Try to answer the question without this word abandon, because it's getting things mixed up. Okay. Just talk about why you have been accepting up till now, if that's the right word, the situation.
It's a funding mechanisms. We need funds to be able to make use of this facility.
All right.
That's it. It's not ill intent. It's just simply we want to make use of this facility because we believe we'll add value and we don't have to build another facility.
Okay,
the way to actually using ratepayers' money wisely.
And you're waiting for funds to come in,
Correct.
right? And meanwhile, nobody's going without service because of the incompleteness of this facility. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Which is why this action that you're not taking is not in a status of criticality.
That is correct.
All right, well, ask the next question. We're learning something thanks to your questions.
thank you, Mr. Hempling. However, I don't think the timing related question that I've asked 3 times now has been answered. Also, you pushed back on the abandonment phrasing that is coming directly from a document attached to Mr. Melendez's direct testimony. So that is not my word.
All right, let's just get the next question. And
Okay, the next,
let me ask this. Is the reason why a certain number of years have gone by with this situation is because, in your view, you don't have the funds to address it because you're using the funds that you do have for other things?
That is correct.
The situation?
That is correct.
Okay.
Criticality drives, driven that decision.
All right, and just to get what Mr. Brady is concerned about is a lot of years are going by with this situation of of misfortune. And what can you say to help him understand why so many years have gone by? Is there anything more for you to add, or you think you've done your best?
I already answered the question.
Okay, well, then that's the answer you have to put in your brief, sir.
okay, well, respectfully, I don't think he has answered the question as to what time period we're talking about. And Mr. Hempling, it is directly relevant to future considerations of need and deferral, how long the project has already been abandoned. If it's been abandoned for 20 years, then presumably there is less of a need to include it in this rate period. If it has been abandoned for 1 year, then that would be a different situation.
All right, I'll tell you what, Mr.
Oh.
Melendez, do the best you can with this question, because then we're going to move on.
Totally
Okay.
understand. The duration of the abandonments that you are asking questions, yes, it plays a role, whether or not they could be postponed, but we believe strongly that there is a lot of incomplete projects that will add value to finish them, so that can add reliability. That's it. Whether or not it can be deferred on all that, I can understand your point, but that's.
Let me try this one last time, very simply, Mr. Melendez. As you sit here today, do you know when the abandoned projects that you're asking for millions of dollars of ratepayer funds to complete were abandoned?
The objective
no?
characterization of projects generally and millions of dollars, please specify. It's broad.
I'm happy to put the document.
I'll repeat the question back.
And
One second, please. Excuse me. I'm about ready to cut off the questions, because I think this constant use of abandon as an active term, as if somebody did an abandoning, is a use of the term that is not the way Mr. Melendez is using the term. All I can tell, what it sounds like to me, Mr. Brady, Mr. Melendez, is you're going to continue in this state of affairs until either money comes in that you think is best spent that way, or a situation of criticality develops in which you're going to quickly move on it, regardless of whether you get extra money or not. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And you and I just said, could last 1 year, 5 years, 20 years. It all depends on the stage of criticality and the stage of the flow of funds. Is that correct?
Yes.
I cannot do any better for you, Mr. Brady. I think you've accomplished your objective, but I may have failed.
Thank you, Mr. Hempling. I really was just trying to get an answer to the simple question, does he know the timing? And if the answer is he doesn't, that's fine, but he won't answer it one way or the other, frankly.
Well, he's given you the best that he can, Ms. Mercado. Don't worry about it. Next question.
So he can't say yes or no. Whether
I said move on to the next question, sir. Take it to the Court of Appeals if you don't like my ruling. Go ahead.
Okay, so in terms of the amount of ratepayer funds requested for the distribution grid reliability program, it's a little over $70 million over the 3-year rate period, right?
That's what you're reading from.
I asked that you show the witness the document that you're using per.
So could the clerk please bring up Luma Exhibit 2.03?
2.03, please.
And you're looking at tab 5.4.1, improvements program.
No. Let the exhibit get up first, please. Okay. Pause between it. By the way, I appreciate this cross very much. I'm learning from it. and try moving back just maybe a centimeter, because I think like somebody, there's a sweet spot there and we're not making it easy for you.
Yes, I think yesterday I was too quiet. I guess today it's the opposite problem.
Okay, but the cross-examination I find until a few minutes ago pretty efficient, so thank you. Okay, we now have the exhibit up, and where on the exhibit would you like to go?
Let me find this. The tab is called 5.4.1. I believe it's on the right-hand side.
All right, tab 5.4.1, please.
Improvement program summary.
All right, just get him to the line and give him a moment to get his bearings.
And if we go to item 16, which is on row 24.
All right, tell me when you're ready.
And I apologize.
Wait, just let him get his bearings.
I was talking to you, Mr. Hempling. I'm just apologizing that this will take a moment because it's a very large spreadsheet and to walk through it will take some time. That's why I had not initially pulled this up, but Ms. Mercado asked that I do so.
All right. He needs quiet so he can look at the darn thing.
Okay, so row 24. And do you see that it says PBUT 39 distribution grid reliability?
Yes.
And that's the program we've been talking about, right?
Yes.
Okay, so in column J, that is the total federal, non-federal, and OpEx for that project, right?
Yes.
Okay, and as we can see in the prior three columns, there is no federal funded CapEx for this program in fiscal 26, right?
Correct.
And there's also no OpEx.
Correct.
It's blank. Okay, so the only entry is fiscal year 2026 non-federal funded CapEx for $20.7 million, right?
Yes.
And as we've discussed yesterday and throughout this hearing, non-federal capital is in fact ratepayer funding, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Could the clerk please scroll over to fiscal year 27?
Fiscal year 27. Scroll, please.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. And the situation here is similar to what we were just looking at, right? Federally funded is blank, OpEx is blank, right?
Yes.
And the amount for NFC or ratepayer funds is $23 million, correct?
Yes.
Okay, could we go over to fiscal year? If you'd scroll to the right, please. Thank you. Okay. And same basic layout here, correct?
Correct.
And the amount under NFC is $26.45 million in ratepayer funds, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And the sum of those is over $70 million, right?
79,733 with $334.
I'm sorry, I don't think I heard the numbers that you said.
It is listed on the bottom on that. They give you the sum of all those numbers that we have selected. But yes, it's over $70 million. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So that $70 million in requested ratepayer funds necessarily includes the projects that we've been discussing just now, right?
It's part of what is included on that. Yes.
Including the projects to finish work that has been uncompleted since at least 2021.
That's correct. Part of those funds are for that. Yes.
Correct. And also the projects for operational flexibility.
Yes.
And also the projects related to abandoned infrastructure.
In the context that I explained it, yes.
Thank you. Okay, stepping back from this particular program brief, I'd like to ask you some questions about LUMA's analysis of reliability generally across its entire capital projects portfolio. Is that okay?
Hearing examiner decide what the topics are.
I object, yeah. This is a specific panel about specific projects.
This is the
One second.
reliability.
1 second, please. Tell me what area you want to address again.
LUMA's reliability analysis as to the capital projects that Mr. Melendez is sponsoring.
What's the objection, Ms. Mercado?
I thought he was going to ask broader topics generally from other projects, but it's okay.
Well, let's just find out what he's going to talk about,
Yeah.
and then we'll worry about it then.
So in case it's helpful, Mr. Hempling, to clarify.
You don't have to. Just go ahead and ask the question.
Thank you. Okay, so do you understand what do you
Try
understand
to
what
find that sweet spot.
I'm trying, Mr.
I know you
Hempling.
are. I appreciate it. Keep trying.
Do you understand what I'm referring to when I say LUMA's reliability analysis generally?
Well, if you're ever making reference to a particular document, I'll prefer to do that. So it makes it a lot easier for us to have this conversation. But in general terms, I understand the
Yeah.
subject.
I don't know that it all lives in one document, but
Okay.
you understand generally.
Don't understood. Yes, yes.
Okay. Now, if you think back to spring of this year, 2025, when LUMA was working on putting together its rate petition, do you recall that the Energy Bureau asked you a number of ROIs?
There were some ROIs during that period.
Yeah, these were ROIs, just to clarify, before the whole Axion process was set up post rate petition, right?
All right, just ask the question and we'll find out what we need to find out. Okay?
You're familiar with that generally, right?
Well, I would when you use the word generally, yeah, I'm familiar generally. I'm trying to understand what it specifically is making reference to be able to answer the question. So
Okay, well, let me try
All
again.
right, Melendez, Ms. Melendez, just go ahead.
Let me try again, Mr. Melendez. You, in fact, responded to some of those ROIs in the rate petition, right?
Yeah, understood. Yes, that's what I'm just trying to figure out what is it that we're referring to here.
No,
Sure.
Nothing, absolutely nothing yet.
Okay, can we pull up bondholder exhibit 606?
Bondholder 606. Mr. Melendez, usually a cross-examiner asks a bunch of what I call sort of throat clearing questions just to get the context. Okay, there's no reason to worry about your wallet during those questions. You can usually tell by the look on his face when the hit is coming.
I could understand. I just want to be able to follow. That's all,
right.
sir. It's like he's
Nobody's
throwing some
worried.
terms and trying to follow along.
All right.
That's all.
All right. Do you see the document? Take a moment, familiarize yourself. What is? Let the man familiarize himself. Where are you going to go in the document, please?
Can you scroll down?
Yeah,
I just
where?
want to see the whole response. Is it just this one page? Okay, go back up. Okay, yes, this is it. This is the entirety of it.
Give him
So
a chance
take a
to
moment.
read it to himself. Saves time.
Do you recognize this ROI response?
Scroll down a little bit if you don't mind, please.
I'll just tell you now, Mr. Melendez, it does not say that you're the responder like the ones during the Axion.
That's what I'm trying. That's why I'm trying.
You are, and I can show you the chart where it says that if you'd like. It's in a different part of LUMA's rate application.
Okay.
We don't have to do that. Just tell me whether you're familiar with the topic that is addressed in the.
In the context, yes, I'm familiar with the topic.
All right, let's get
continue.
to the
That's all I hear.
question.
Okay, so looking at this ROI, the Energy Bureau asked for, quote, any and all studies from January 1, 2020 to present conducted by or on behalf of PREPA or LUMA to assess the T&D systems, right?
Yes, that's what I'm reading. Yes.
Would you say that's a pretty broad request?
Yes, it is.
Any and all studies assessing the T&D system up
Okay,
to the
Mr.
present?
Brady, tell me to get to the question about what you're concerned about. Okay, what's missing?
I'm getting there, Mr. Hempling.
I know you're getting there. How about sooner?
The present at the time that the rate petition was submitted would have been July 3rd, right? When this ROI response went in. That was when you submitted this, right, Mr. Melendez?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah. And if you look at your response here, you refer the Energy Bureau to two things in response to this question. A comprehensive gap assessment, right?
Yes.
And certain annual updates that LUMA submits to the Bureau, right?
Yes.
You did not mention anything about a reliability analysis used to prioritize projects under your purview in this response, did you?
As written in the response, no, I did not. It's not there. In the response itself, it's just rereading me. So.
Right. So the Bureau asked for any and all studies assessing the T&D system. You didn't include that, right?
We included what is stated in here with the links. I'm struggling with this.
Yeah, it's just a yes or no. If you didn't include it, then it's...
Struggle. It's not a good use of our time. You supplied what it says you supplied. You didn't supply what it doesn't say you supplied. And the next question is now coming.
Now, later in this case, do you recall putting together ROI responses that discussed a reliability analysis in response to ROIs from the bondholders.
There was a series of ROIs related to the case there. You're correct. Yes.
And those began around late August of this year. Generally.
Generally, they've been 7 months on it. How about that?
Well,
Go ahead. But yes, after
two months.
after the July filing, there were a series of ROIs that have been submitted. Yes.
And you responded to those.
Yes.
And in those ROI responses, you now said that LUMA had analyzed reliability when it was prioritizing proposed projects, right?
That was the question that was asked, I believe. If you want to answer specifically what ROI he's
Answer his
making reference
question,
to,
yes. The answer is yes.
Yeah.
Next question.
But I'm